U.S. President Joe Biden's pick to become the top bank regulator at the Federal Reserve, Sarah Bloom Raskin, withdrew from the nomination on Tuesday, just a day after a key Democratic senator said he would not support her, effectively ending her chances of confirmation. Raskin's withdrawal was first reported by the New Yorker magazine, which said Raskin had submitted a letter of withdrawal to the White House. Raskin did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Reuters. She had become the most contentious of Biden's 5 nominees to the Fed's Board of Governors for her stance on climate change. She faced strong opposition from Republicans who warned she might use the post to penalize bank lending to fossil fuel companies.
It's not surprising there's bipartisan Senate opposition to such a radical nominee.
Republicans on the Senate Banking Committee, which reviews appointments to the Fed, had blocked progress on other Fed board nominations. At one point, Republicans boycotted voting sessions over their objections to Raskin's nomination as vice chair for supervision. But the White House just yesterday held out hope Raskin and others might be confirmed.
Well, there's enough support to move all 5 nominees through the committee. So we think the Republicans should show up so that they can vote them through the committee.
Raskin's withdrawal could now clear the way for the Senate to act on the 4 remaining nominees, which include Jerome Powell for a second term as the central bank's chair.
A Reuters drone captured these images of the Ever Forward, a container ship run aground in the Chesapeake Bay near Baltimore along the Maryland shore. The grounding was first reported by the U.S. Coast Guard. And if the name on the side looks familiar, that's because another container ship, the Ever Given, famously ran aground in the Suez Canal last March and blocked traffic in one of the world's busiest waterways. Both boats are operated by the Taiwanese company Evergreen Marine. A representative for the shipping line could not be reached for comment. The Coast Guard received reports on Sunday that the Ever Forward was grounded and said it was not blocking traffic.
We have just released a new report that sets out the continuing spiral of violence in Myanmar since the 1st of February coup of last year. And the military is continuing to engage in systematic and widespread human rights violations and abuses, some of which may amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity. The report sets out Myanmar's military and security forces' flagrant disregard for human life, bombarding populated areas with airstrikes and heavy weapons, and deliberately targeting civilians, some of whom have been shot in the head, burned to death, arbitrarily arrested, tortured, or used as human shields. Meaningful action by the international community is urgently needed to stop yet more individuals from being stripped of their rights, their lives, and their livelihoods. The appalling breadth and the scale of violations of international law suffered by the people of Myanmar demand a firm, unified, and resolute international response.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Police on Tuesday arrested a suspect in the shootings of 5 homeless men, 2 fatally, in Washington, D.C. and New York.
Today, I am here to announce we've got our man.
Metropolitan Police Chief Robert Conti said 30-year-old D.C. resident Gerald Brevard was taken into custody by federal agents early Tuesday morning. He was charged with homicide, assault with a dangerous weapon, and assault with intent to kill. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives said special agents found the suspect after an urgent, days-long manhunt. 3 of the shootings took place in Washington over the past 2 weeks. 2 other homeless men were then shot in New York. Police said 1 gunman shot all 5 men while they slept on the street. Investigators linked the violence through .22 caliber shell casings found at the crime scenes. Conti said police don't yet have the weapon used in the attacks.
But based on all the evidence that we pulled together in this case, the video evidence, the images that we've seen, we feel we have enough probable cause to charge that person with the crimes that have occurred here in the District of Columbia.
The shootings began on March 3rd and continued over the next 2 weeks, leaving 2 victims dead. Violent crime has risen in both cities, and there has been a spate of seemingly random attacks in New York City.
U.S. stocks roared back on Tuesday after a 3-day slump for the S&P 500. Equity investors caught some relief from another drop in oil prices, and markets are now looking to the Federal Reserve's upcoming policy announcement to see just how aggressively the central bank will attack inflation. Palumbo Wealth Management's chief investment officer, Philip Palumbo, said Fed Chair Jerome Powell has a fine line to walk.
So going into the Fed meeting tomorrow, we're going to see a quarter basis point increase overall. It's going to be a wait and see. I think that's what the game the Fed is going to play. And overall, I just think that he's going to be not as aggressive as he should be, which is going to be problematic in terms of the economy and the impact overall, which is going to be ultimately a hard landing.
A softer than expected reading on producer prices helped ease inflation fears among investors Tuesday, coming in just 0.1% shy of the estimate. The Dow finished up almost 2% higher, and the S&P 500 rose more than 2%, while the Nasdaq closed up nearly 3%. Megacap growth stocks gained, with Microsoft and Apple providing the biggest boost to the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. Shares of major U.S. airlines, including Delta, United, American, and JetBlue Airways, all soared after the carriers raised their current quarter revenue forecasts, even as they trimmed capacity. Delta CEO told a news conference Tuesday that he was seeing the strongest demand in his career. But some saw darker skies ahead for the stock market as the so-called death cross technical pattern formed this week, when a short-term moving average crosses below a longer-term moving average, which some investors believe signals that more near-term weakness for Wall Street is likely.